Councillors will get on with it. Yeah, that's fine. Do that conversation. Sorry. Finish up next minute. You should have great. So, thank you, councillors, for being here tonight, and welcome to the Shire Council's 21st. It's the way, isn't it? We said it. 31st. I think it's whenever it comes. Again, if we have name, the kingdom come, and will be done on earth as it is in heaven. Give us this day our daily bread, and forgive us our trespasses, as we forgive those who trespass against us. Lead us not into temptation, but deliver us from evil. For thine is the kingdom, the power, and the glory, forever and ever. Amen. I acknowledge the Wiradjuri people, traditional custodians of this land, through me. Also, we respect the members both past and present, and extend that respect to our community members. In accordance with Council's code of meeting practice, Scouts meeting is being recorded and will be placed on Council's webpage for public information. All present at the meeting are reminded that by speaking you are agreeing to your view and comments being recorded and published. I'd also like to remind councillors and staff that during all of the discussions and deliberations, we should be respectful and mindful of others present. We should at all times listen without interrupting and use words that do not personalise an individual, nor should they be offensive in any way. Whilst discussion, debate and open mind is encouraged, please let us keep all our discussions productive, civil and inclusive. The Shire Council accepts no liability for any defamatory or offensive remarks or gestures during this council meeting. I swear that I will undertake the duties of the office of council and the best interests of the people community within the Shire Council. Not faithfully and impartially carry out those functions, powers, authorities and discretions vested in me under the Local Government Act 1993 or any other act to the best of my ability and judgment. Apologies. Right. Informations of the minutes of the past meeting. Council. With Ted Moon. Councillor Clinton, thank you, and Councillor Hasmus. All those in favour? Against? So, is there any business arising from those minutes? Yes, Councillor Carter.
Now, I thought I raised a couple of questions to notice on in the information booklet on the traffic committee,
Traffic forum.
Yeah. I just didn't have a chance to go back and just check those minutes to see how it was on the railway. Rockview. Yeah, and there was 2 others in there as well, but just didn't seem to get a reply, I don't think.
Yeah. Additionally, when they have a traffic forum meeting.
No, it wasn't in the traffic committee. It was in the got a traffic account. Yeah, traffic ranger. Fine.
Safety officer.
Yeah, it's in. Thank you.
Person.
Bruce.
Yes. Councillor Clinton.
A matter arising, small one. I know the general manager did contact us a week or so ago saying he had not yet received a response from Inland Rail as to the value of her life. Have we any update on that information?
Is that a value on the electric crossing?
Yes.
Yeah.
photographs of whether we not yet received the response to that, we follow up.
Okay. And I'd led to believe that Mr. Johnson, who had accepted the thing, has moved on. So
Right, yes.
Yes,
indeed.
I suggest we try and keep. And get firmly pressed on the pulse of progress. Yeah,
It'd be nice to know who is replacing it, so I might make that inquiry and see let's do replace the
The replacement is enhanced. It might become Brian Grundy. Yeah.
Yes. Yep. Right, so declarations of interest, councillors. Writing, but take on the floor, is that, well, yes, councillor Clinton.
declaration in relation to number 4, to have lots with the. I'm accused,
Kerry,
that one very much.
so reason for declaration, too.
2 issues. One is I attend Bible study lessons or meetings in property next door. The other one is my wife's daughter has a staff member who lives across the road. I've discussed all of the project.
Thank you.
Maybe just satisfying the people next door about the what was doing, they couldn't work out what was happening. I think they're under control now.
Thank you. Thank you. Right, now a minute. Hasty very short, fortunately. The last 6 weeks of battling with major different things. It's very important for me to mention and thank the deputy mayor and general manager for their support over the time, jumping in when I was not able to. So thank you very much. We will note that we've got quite a few items in for the inland rail seeking of modification of PADA on the level crossing designs. I would like to thank all the councillors who have sent letters of support. It's quite significant. I have another one here tonight from the acting director advocacy from local government New South Wales, also supporting us. And from David Reynolds, Chief Executive Officer, New South Wales Local Government. So I had a lengthy discussion with Phyllis Miller from Forms, and she can assure us that everybody north of Parks is supporting what we're trying to do too. So I thank them. A minor matter, we had a couple of issues reported in the local paper that have been quite incorrect. I've been in touch with the owner of the paper, also the editor, and he's apologised most profusely. Unfortunately, the young reporter that has been around for quite some time decided that he's had enough and has departed. Simon Bean, Mr. Stadler will be looking after our reporting here in town for the time that it takes him to get a new reporter, I expect. I do wish Jack all the best. He usually got things right. His spelling wasn't always great, but he usually reported quite well. So it's unfortunate that he's taken this course of action. And lastly, we do have this false alert broadcast on the 27th of July, just testing the new national alert system. Alerts too, but anyway, if you've got some inquiries of if somebody's phone goes off and they say, "Well, that's what's that," and they don't know about it, you'll be happy. Let them know, especially some of our elderly people. So I'm turning back off about that. So, thank you, everybody, for your contributions throughout the month. To get on with the rest of the meeting. And, that's the report. The general manager's report, the first item there is the Mundalo Bridge Replacement Project update. And at this time, I'd like to invite Sarah Horn, Anthony Bean, and Brian Pate from the Department of Climate Change, Energy and Environment and Water to speak regarding this item. So I'm hoping you can all see us and hear us. So I'll leave it over to you.
We can. Thank you very much, councillors, for having us this afternoon to give you an update on the Mundalo Bridge project. Brian, if you're able to share on screen, please, and we'll just confirm that everyone can see the presentation.
Yes, we can. Thank you.
Thank you.
Wonderful. So I'm Sarah Horn, Director Infrastructure Projects North with Department of Climate Change, Energy, Environment and Water. I have oversight of the Mundalo Bridge project amongst others. I'm joined by Anthony Bean, who is our project manager for Mundalo Bridge, and Brian Pate, who is our communications and engagement lead for this project. Next, please, Brian. We always begin by acknowledging country and acknowledging the traditional custodians of the various lands that we are joining you from electronically today, as well as yourselves in person, acknowledging elders past and present and extending that respect to all Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander people. Thank you. So why are we replacing the Mundalo Bridge? As you are well aware, councillors, it is the only public crossing over the Murrumbidgee between Gundagai and Wagga. Currently, it does overtop when we get flows above 32,000 megalitres a day, roughly 5.1 metres at Wagga, and it has been inundated multiple times in recent years. This then gives quite a bit of disruption to local community and lengthy detours, 120 kilometres plus. So it is a constraint to delivery of higher environmental flows through the Murrumbidgee River system and was identified as part of the broader Reconnecting River Country program, or the old Constraints program. However, it has been separated from that and prioritised for upgrade because of the overall social, economic and environmental importance. This is a no regrets project for New South Wales Government to progress because of the benefits to community. Next, please. There is $30.7 million for this, which has been funded by the Australian government. Now that is total project delivery. That is all of the planning and approvals, all of the land pieces, as well as the direct construction. We are building a new 110 metre long bridge immediately upstream of the existing bridge. It will be 3.7 metres higher than the existing bridge, and it will be able to stay open up to flows of 100,000 megalitres per day at Wagga, or about the equivalent of the moderate flood level. Importantly, it will take it from single lane to 2 lane, which we know is very important for the vehicles and local traffic that use it in the area, with capacity for those heavy vehicles. We do see lots of B-double stock trucks and the like currently using the single lane bridge. Upgrading to 2 lanes will provide much improved transit and safety for them. And importantly, all of our construction is taking place on public land within the existing road reserve and with an agreement with an adjacent landholder for a construction compound. Next, please. Overall, the benefits are less overtopping during those higher flows, so less disruption to local communities. There will be less servicing and maintenance of the new infrastructure for council compared to the old one. Less maintenance and cleanup costs when it does overtop, and that really key one of the improved safety for all vehicles using the bridge. We have modelled the improvement in flood resilience overall. So currently at 32,000 megalitres per day, On average days closed per year over the long-term average, it's 12 days per year. At 100,000 megalitres per day, so the height we will be raising it to, it will be less than 1 day per year on average that this bridge will have to be closed. Next, please. And there are some artist impressions of the finished product. And from that, I might hand over to Anthony to take you through some more of the project specifics and what's happening on site at the moment.
Thank you very much, Sarah, and good afternoon, councillors, and we really appreciate your time for us to present to you today. So yeah, what the renderings that you see on the screen there, what we're going to see in the field getting built is a little bit different because contracting model when we went to market was for design and construct, not construct only, and that competitive tension saw some good designs coming back from tenderers, and the successful bidder Saunders Civil Build have a design that has 4 piers in the river rather than the 5 that you see there. So when Sarah mentioned before less cleanup costs in the future, there's less piers, less entanglement as well. The other note there about the 3.7 metre bridge raise above the old Mundalo Bridge, the original brief as part of the Reconnecting River Country program was to design to 45,000 megalitre per day flows. We found during our design development that it did not cost a lot more money and well within budget to raise that bridge higher. So instead of 2.2 raised for 45,000, going up to that 3.7. So yeah, we're really pleased that we could get more flood resilience in the new structure. Thanks, Brian. Sarah mentioned before the construction footprint being within the road reserve and cadastral surveyed boundaries. Might be a little bit hard to see on your screen there, but the light blue lines are the surveyed cadastral boundaries. Particularly on the southern side, we found there were some errors there during survey and development, so we were able to widen that and relocate the fences with the cooperation of the southern landowner there, and that's given us the room to be able to build without disrupting the local farmers there. Let's move on to the next one. So project status, all our planning and approvals, so review of environmental factors, water supply works approvals, fisheries permits, I've probably forgot a couple here. Oh, sorry, section 138 traffic approvals. The project has received all of those, and we awarded the design and construct contract to Saunders, as I mentioned, back on 22 April. And in early June, they began the site mobilisation out there. That's all complete. And what you see there in the photo was one of the really pleasing activities we did as a kickoff, was a smoking ceremony with Uncle Stan, a local Wiradjuri man. So Uncle Stan, his wife and his daughter joined us on that day. And we're really pleased, particularly with the field teams who downed tools and joined us for an hour doing that. We also mentioned down there that the rock platform construction is commenced. You may ask, what is that? We do have some photos coming up, but access into the river for construction is key. And the Saunders have elected to place rock into the river channel so they can drive their equipment on there, and particularly for installing the piles for the bridge. Thanks, Brian. Okay, so yeah, timeline just on the left there, we could actually colour in that dot now on July. The piling is well and truly commenced. But what you see there on screen there, particularly that right-hand photo, is the rock causeway projecting out into the Murrumbidgee River. It's been designed for a particular height. We can't go too high with that, otherwise there are issues with stream flows. But it's been performing very, very well, even when there has been water levels coming up recently with some of the upstream inflows. and any impacts have been very minimal to the construction program. Let's pop to the next. Oh, sorry, what I should add on there is just go back one slide. Sorry, Brian, I forgot the headline date there of the end of this year is practical completion of the new bridge. So Saunders is staying on program at the moment. It is a very aggressive schedule, we know that, but we've found working with them extremely collaborative, a lot of thought going into all the planning and always looking for ways to save a bit of time here and there. So we have some confidence that they will hit that date. So at the end of this year, we'll have that bridge open for live traffic from the public. When we can return in the new year, there'd be some completion activities just on the Northern Approach Road and demolition of the old bridge. Thanks, Brian. So traffic, that is probably one of the biggest risks to the project, the interaction of the construction with the public. We are pleased with how a local contractor, Riverina, is working with Saunders and managing the traffic out there. If you have driven through there recently, you'll see the reduced speed limits. And even when I was out there last week for a visit, I was quite pleased to see how a couple of B-double trucks managed to navigate past each other in those different conditions. So it's working well. We haven't had any concerns raised to us about traffic over the old bridge, which we are endeavouring to keep open as much as we can through the life of the job. But please note that second bullet point, there will be some short duration closures of up to an hour. We hope less, and that will be for key activities later on, probably starting in about September, when we need to lift in with cranes the 24 metre long beams between the piers. Okay, that's probably it there, Brian. Sorry, we'll just add one more thing there. A change that we've actually issued to, or change notice or variation we've issued to Saunders recently. And I think this came up at the last briefing we gave you all councillors. There was a question about the Northern Approach Road from River Road down to the bridge. During tendering, we did request pricing for design and construction of that as a provisional sum. And recently we instructed Saunders to proceed with that, and it's within budget. And so that's part of their scope now to refresh that road all the way up to River Road there. Thanks, Brian. Over to you.
Thanks, Anthony. And just like to reiterate and thank the councillors for allowing us to brief you on the project today. In terms of engagement, we've engaged comprehensively for the last 16 months or so. I won't go through the numbers other than to say our key focus has been directly affected landholders. We've been engaging comprehensively with our First Nations communities who are involved in the cultural assessments and are currently involved in the site monitoring at the site. A key focus was engaging with the local councils, and I believe we have a fortnightly meeting, or have had a fortnightly meeting with both councils involved with the bridge. And we've also held a number of community information sessions last year. We've had 2 in Wagga and 1 also in Gundagai. We have been communicating on our web pages and through our direct channels, and a joint press release did go out recently with the Commonwealth. In terms of engagement during construction, we're looking to be out in the community and community outreach events, informing the community around the construction project progress. So we're looking to be at the Hentyfield Machinery Days in September, and are also looking at some other events. We'll continue to provide construction notifications through all of our channels and mass channels. And we will be using our direct channels to communicate project milestones, such as the completion of the piling. We're always in close contact with the landholders involved, both through the project team and through the contractor, and we will continue our comprehensive engagement with our First Nations groups during the construction process. We have provided council with an inquiry script in response to any questions they may get from the community, and how to direct those through to our direct 1300 number and water inquiries email address. We've also provided the council with a fact sheet on the project, and we're currently working with Junee Council in getting live traffic alerts up on Transport New South Wales site, just to highlight changed traffic conditions.
Thank you very much, councillors. That's us for our presentation today. I think really pleasingly for us, as with all of these projects, so much of the time goes into all of the lead and development work, into getting through all of the approvals and getting design completed. And once we get into the fun part of construction, we see things start to come together quite rapidly, which is very, very pleasing for us. We're very thankful for the support from council staff, both with Junee and with Kootagundagai as the two councils involved in this project, and certainly look forward to completing it successfully and having a nice new bridge open for your constituents come the end of the year. But any questions? Thanks.
Thanks, Sarah. That's an excellent presentation from you all. Anthony, Brian, wonderful, great update. Councillors, is there any questions around the room, please?
Just one, you mentioned about the road being upgraded back to River Road. Is it maybe a double width? Is that a single width, isn't it?
It's a little hard to hear. I think the question was about double width for the new road.
Yeah,
Yeah,
is it
so it will be
wider?
Yeah, it'll be a bit wider to accommodate that, to match the bridge.
Any further questions, councillors? Well, it's a great presentation then, Sarah, because no more questions. Done well.
Geez, I guess that means we will just have to love you and leave you, but thank you very much for your time, and I hope the rest of the agenda is productive.
Thank you so much. And,
Thanks, councillors. Thanks, everyone.
Thanks, councillors.
thank you. See you. That's good. Hopefully we can stay on time and we looking forward to seeing the end result. Okay, move on to item 3 of the.
I'll move that, Mr. Mayor.
And I'll second it. Written in front of me, so thank you. All those in favour of receiving that report? Yes. Thank you, councillors. Thank you, councillors, for being on break. Okay, 3. Application 2025/49, Talbingo Lane. Old Junee holds a sheep of feedlot for 8,000 head. Now there is a recommendation there. Someone prepared to move that way. Councillor Asmus moving. Councillor Bridget Austin. Second. Discussion. Councillors. Councillor Carter.
It's just an error. I just thank the staff for solving a few of the questions that were raised last meeting, and I note that it's been a good report. The only thing I'd be disappointed about is that I would have liked to see a bit more screening involved. That's my issue. The issue that I do have concern with is Talbingo Lane. There's no provision in the requirements for an upgrade or rehabilitation of that lane. This concerns me that such a large development on a which has been constructed originally for the intense terms of what it was originally meant for, has not been upgraded, but we had the situation on, proposed subdivision on Waterworks Road and the road being upgraded to cater for the volume of traffic. We have the, scenario of, those re-subdivision or re-categorisation of the land at the end of Albert Street being road upgrades. I just feel that, the third road, which leads into the property, built to cater for the low amount of traffic it currently carries, and it won't stand up to the higher degree of traffic which is earmarked for this development. Especially when you get 2 or 3 trucks a day, as they say, and the road, and also I just feel that it's going to be a burden to the ratepayers in the long run, that that road will require more attention than normal, because we didn't get it upgraded to start with. I'm only disappointed about the whole thing. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor. Councillor Halliburton.
I'm concerned about the Talbingo Lane as well. I'm also concerned about the fact that they say that there won't be any B doubles, but on page 47, it was said that B doubles are anticipated to be used in the setting up of the design. I also note that there's many more B double trucks carting sheep around now than normal size semi-trailers. I'm mindful of the fact that when I first joined council, the general manager at the time, Greg Campbell, said that we're not here for the now, we're here for the future. And the future, I think we've got to accept the fact that B doubles are going to be employed or used for sheep transport. They already are. The width of the Talbingo Road, you know, once those trucks get going, they get going, and they tend to just sit in the middle of the road. And it's very, very hard for them when they're going at 100 kilometres an hour, which they're allowed to do, to pull over to the side. So the onus has got to be on the person coming from the other side to get off the road and stop. I wasn't quite sure where the 2 burial pit sites were. The burial composting of carcasses, a report on page 307 mentioned that they were disappointed that they were just going to bury the carcasses rather than the new way of doing things is to compost them as well. Traffic assessment on page 313. But now the pages 17, 16, 15, 13. Yes, 313. I just think that I would disagree with the traffic assessment. That is all. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Clinton.
Yes, a couple of things about the conditions of consent. You talk about out of hours deliveries must not occur regularly and must be recorded with reasons. Where do those reasons get recorded? They tell us, they tell you, or do they just write them on the toilet paper and stick them in the latest story?
General Manager. That's a very good question. We have plenty of room back stalls here, Brian, to be able to give us general manager to Mr. Mayor.
The intention of the condition is that if we receive complaints from neighbours about deliveries occurring outside of hours, we can then approach the broker from the site and say, what's happening? Why have you taken delivery outside of hours? Then they can provide us with their reason. That's the intention. And so it's an enforcement matter
Now, I have another question about the heavy vehicle restriction. You talk about doubles are large and must not access the site. Does that mean they can't access Talbingo Lane? And can we put a sign up at the beginning of Talbingo Lane saying no B doubles, or is that not working?
Through Mr. Yes, we did think about putting a sign up there, but at the end of the day, B double access is actually regulated by NHBR, so it's not a B double nominated route anyway. So they would have to get a permit to access that road on Talbingo Lane.
So Councillor Halliburton's concerned about them all using B doubles when they are building the site will have to be accompanied with
Appropriate permits.
appropriate permits, right?
Correct.
Now, you talk about the vegetation buffer,
Yes.
and, you know, the precondition number 6, it says, provides the commencement of feedlot operations. Now, there are a lot of things in this document that they've got to do prior to the commencement, and one is sort of vegetation buffers, the other must be reports and all sorts of things. Are they actually going to stop doing anything until everything's complete, or do we expect them to start wanting to do things and then put the things in over time, or we're just going to say, no, until you've got every single piece of paper lodged, you can't start?
Yeah, so through you, Mr. Mayor. Yes, the intention is that they provide us with that upfront before they actually commence the use of this device. As it's written in the commission.
Now, another question I have is that last month we were concerned about, or I was concerned about the water for the sheep. Is there town water connected to the site?
Our representation there is particularly water available on site.
Available?
Yes, correct.
Right. So then you speak to Goldfields about it. Was to wait for the rain to drop before they have 370,000 or 250,000 litres long lot of rain. Thank you.
Thank you, councillor Brinsman. Councillor Knight.
I again like to commend this on the thoroughness of the preparation of the paperwork. What these people are proposing is an incredible workload for them. I am reassured by the fact that you've just mentioned that they officially cannot start to do anything until they meet all those conditions. Do we have capacity, manpower to keep supervising until those conditions are met?
We have some capacity, but I think we will be relying on the neighbours in some instances to keep an eye on things. We will be scheduling periodic inspections, but we can't be out there every day supervising them. But yeah, it may be a monthly sort of thing that we'll keep an eye on them. But yeah, it'll sort of be subject to our staffing and what else still on.
Which is a big issue. Yeah, okay. And I appreciate there are a lot of other authorities involved and you can actually bring them on board if needed. But yes, again, that's a very thorough preparation of documentation that you've got there in the business papers.
Yes, councillor Clinton.
Following up from that, based on past history, do people of this nature tend to stop when you ask them to stop? They haven't quite finished all of it.
So, a rhetorical question. I don't have an answer for that. So,
Yeah, through you, Mr. Mayor, obviously adherence to conditions and respect of regulatory enforcement is something that varies from developer to developer. We have to take each case on its merits, and we're considering the application as opposed to the developer. So yeah, we have to take it on its word and assume that legal processes can be followed if something untoward occurs.
So, thank you. Councillors, anything further of Val before he sits down? Oh, very good. Thank you indeed. All right, please, no further debate, councillors. We have moved up to the second. We need to see hands on this one. So all those in favour, the motions. Against. A squeak over the line. 5 to 4. Thank you, councillors. Item 4, development application 2026-27, 38 John Cox Drive, Unit. Recommendation is there that it be approved. You're moving that way, councillor Clinton. Thank you. Thank you. And councillor Matthew Austin, seconded. Any discussion, councillors?
Just a minute.
Some colour.
I have a couple of questions. First one is more general in nature, and on page 330, the sick and tired of seeing traffic reports which are just badly worded and written. In this instance, I have the quote that John Fox Drive is a local residential street providing direct access to the wider road network by Parkland and Broadway. Well, it's
That's wrong.
it's a very interesting scenario how you get from John Fox Drive to Park Lane, especially when the gate puts us up there before it's locked and shut. And just the sick and tired of some of these traffic experts saying they're experts when they get so fundamentally so much wrong fundamentally. It's just nothing. I think it's just a general comment. On page 375, notices gate and side fence on in the front of the house. I'm just wondering, is that allowed under our conditions if we're allowed to put it under our front fence policy that the gate and the fence can be put along the front of the house? So I'm showing 375. Please.
Through you, Mr. Mayor. Yes, there's no issues with having a gate in the front fence like that, where it's level or behind the front building line. It's just where it's forward of the front building line, then we might have issues.
And the height of that, and the height is there a height?
Yeah, 1.8 is standard colour bond setup. I believe that's from memory, that's what they're quoting in this instance. Which is allowable under set as exempt. Yeah.
Final question, Mr. Mayor, is that the shed at the back, I take it is being cut in 1.2 at the back. So it means its height density is lower in relation to the surrounding countryside. That requires included.
Correct. Yeah. And then even if it wasn't, it's the height of it's still within our DCP.
Thank you.
Doesn't stick up above the house. So it's usually the bigger component. Yeah, councillor Clinton.
To you too, Mr. Brown. I presume that there are retaining fences to cope with that 1.2 metre rise.
Through you, Mr. Mayor, yes, correct. That's the whole point of the variation is that our DCP currently only permits them to do 600 mil
Yes.
retaining structures where they want to do a single 1200. So that's the whole point of the variation.
One other question, is this creating a precedent for other sites, or do we just take them one by one?
Through you, Mr. Mayor. Yes, this control is one that we are considering reviewing for the amount of variations that we're getting through on it. Just the nature of building these days, people want to build on a flat site. But that's discussion for another day.
Thank you. Any further questions, please, councillors? Rather just up down on this. Thank you, Ralph. All right, you've been mover and seconder, no further discussion, so I'll need to see hands again. All those in favour? Against? Item number 5. Local Government New South Wales Annual Conference. The recommendation there, so I'm prepared to move that way. Thank you, councillor Halliburton. Second that, councillor Bridget Austin. Any discussion at all? Councillor Clinton.
I would ask our attendees take into account the letter written by Local Government New South Wales under the signature of David Reynolds. It encourages the Judy Shire Council to consider submitting a motion to the matter to deal with the railway, and I hope that some control.
If indeed it hasn't been finalised before, then of course.
Yes, given us a heads up.
Thank you. Yes, indeed. So Reynolds suggesting it, so. All right then, I've had a move and a seconder. There's no further discussion. I'll put the matter. All those in favour? Against? Carry. Item 6, uphold 3 prohibited zones. It's been quite a number of recommendations there, councillors. You're brave enough to recommend them. Thank you, councillor Knight and councillor Clinton. Any discussion, please. Councillor Clinton.
I would ask councillors all to take into account the email sent by the general manager a couple of days ago. That they're all aware the only thing the police can do is ask them to tip the alcohol out.
They can, if they're being unruly, give them a wrong direction. And then get up, and they if they don't.
And yeah, like the fact that we drink on footpath underneath the verandas of the Junie, Red Cow, but then the Red Cow they drink under the veranda, then on the footpath. It's not on the veranda. But I think that it is. You almost ask yourself, it's nice to have the signs up there. It's the cost involved, and all I can do is ask them to tip it out. So,
and from a previous life, I suggest that it's great tool for the police to have.
okay,
It's something better than nothing,
right.
basically. And it's quite effective, especially if they've only had the first sip. Any further? Yes, councillor Knight.
I'd just like to suggest if you've already paid for your alcohol, you had it tipped out in front of you, that is a deterrent.
It is.
And the more you can assist law enforcement, the better, even if it's only with a sign.
Thank you. All right,
Just a query for this.
councillor Carter.
I noticed in item 8, in the agenda, we have talking about tonight, festival. We're talking about wine tasting and alcohol in Memorial Park, which the Memorial Park is part of the alcohol free zone. So that would be, I imagine there's a way around.
There are time permits in the park themselves, so between certain times you can have alcohol within them.
No, we do, which falls in or falls out or into the way.
It's
Yeah, for you, it's a lunch event, so it's within the permitted hours of the national lines. It's a very good one for 11 and before 9. Yeah, it's super.
To you, Mr. Mayor, I mean, if you look at Christmas on Broadway, there is sometimes a serving of alcohol permitted there. That doesn't come into effect until later in the day and fits in those permits lines. So I presume that that's.
Thank you.
further questions, councillors. Have a mover and seconder of the motion. All those in favour? Against? Carried unanimous. Item 7, re-adoption of investment policy. The recommendation there. Thank you, councillor Matthew Austin and councillor Essence. Any discussion or questions? Right, I'll put the motion, all those in favour? Any against? Carried unanimous. 8. The Canola Gateway Festival. Two recommendations to the council. Is someone prepared to move that? Councillor Asmus and councillor Bridget Austin. Any questions of? No.
Yes,
Thank you, councillor. Campbell.
I just don't seem to be able to do QR codes on my phone. So how can you book for the luncheon when you can't do that? I think it needs to be added in and become more accessible.
What in your phone for the kids?
Fairly new phone. It's all right. It is.
Wayfest.com.au.
Through Mr. Mayor,
Thank you, Sarah.
there is a try booking website. We're on the second on those.
I tried looking.
Try booking. It's a website where you can get tickets through that site. It's
It's a web.
Which is accessible through the Gateway Festival website.
Oh, yeah, that's it. And there's gatewayfest.com.au. Yes, councillor Knight.
I did have a query from someone in the public yesterday who, if there was a problem with the ticketing and they felt that they had paid their money and it didn't seem to come through properly, how do they actually talk to someone? They had sent an email through to council, or so the ticketing that came back to them after they paid didn't seem to cover everything that she thought she had purchased, and she just needed someone to speak to. I directed her to the library to find Sam or Emma to work from there, but I didn't know whether there was another direct line.
It's centrally located. It's in so
Okay.
it's in the library. It doesn't seem to be identical also in the Chase and student.
Any further questions, councillors? If not, have a move and second that. Put the motion, all those in favour? Against? Carried unanimous. And 9. The UN Youth Regional Conference 2026, post event 4. The recommendation there, come on, prepare to move that way, please. Councillor Knight and councillor Clinton. Any comments or questions?
Yeah, probably a short question.
Thank you. Let's go.
You didn't seem to say in the report that there were any, were there any actual shortcomings or were there any problems found in the actual, on the administration side, or what we could do better to make things work better? There's no sort of negative part in that, even though it shouldn't be negative, but it's, you know, just curious, no, but you probably already shortcomings, was there any, did you find any?
Through Mr. Mayor, the feedback coming back from Greg Rock participants, I haven't had any negative feedback, but if you know of any feedback,
More so probably on the administration side, did you have any issues at all? That's all.
Councillor Knight.
That particular event is very prescriptive. So when you are actually holding that particular event, which has a really strong script that's followed, so the administration part is almost built into it. And I'm just applauding the fact that council had foresight to say, yes, come. I know we didn't charge a hiring fee, but that becomes part of our PR of bringing other people into town as well.
No problems about that, so it's fine. But also, yeah, it's a learning curve, you know, I guess that's, you know, but also too, it wasn't really our event. It was there, so it's just a matter of the higher of all of it.
It is,
It's still be a background.
just with the so well, and has been so well received by everyone that I've spoken to. And I thought it put Jenny on that way, but space, so, I don't know. All right, mover and seconder, I'll put the motion, all those in favour? Any against? Item 10, Senate Committee report. There's two recommendations there. Councillors, someone can move that way. But Councillor Hasmus, Councillor Matthews. So questions, concerns? Councillor Taylor.
I would, through you, Mr Mayor, I'd just like to say that this is one of the most depressing and distressing reports I can remember reading. CHSP, Community Home Support Program, caters for older people, mainly, to be cared for in their own homes. Currently, it will end this CHSP on June the 30th, 2027. SAH, Support at Home, is designed to replace it. Despite the fact that our community transport is part of the so-called bin market, I believe that we will lose some or all of our grant funding from 1st of July 2027, and that our residents who are who have previously been using this will have to pay an increased cost for the service which our community transport provides under Support at Home. The Senate report might seem to be positive. However, the ALP Senator's additional comments, pages 543 to 547, do not seem to be overly positive in their acceptance of the report. I think we need to prepare ourselves for a negative change in the community transport area, both for council and the aged people who use it.
Thank you, Councillor, well said. To express all our concerns in that. Summary. Don't know whether there's anything further council can do or right. There is a protest.
Through Mr. Mayor, we've been dealing with a community transport organisation, advocacy group by State of Sydney. Also, Trinity Shire Council, also a participant in the Southwest Zone Community Transport Forum as well. And all the local discussions at this level does get pushed up to the community transport organisation. They've been great. Totally agree with all your comments that you've said. Support at home, high co-contributions, administration burdens. When you talk about the thin market, so if we go to a fee-for-service model, there are concerns that the costs will outweigh the benefits received from the service. So it is concerning. I think when the Aged Care Act came into play, it's like most things with federal government, state government for that matter, announcements come out quite late. So we'll keep working in the background, the advocacy groups that we have, and fingers crossed that under the latest. So we're going to see the further reports. Let's see.
All right, move and seconder. There's no further questions. Put the motion. All those in favour? Any against? Introduction of My Leave. Local Government State Award 2026. There are three recommendations. So thank you, Councillor Clinton. You're moving that way. You second it, please. Councillor Ross. Any discussion? Councillor Clinton.
Look, I'm intrigued by this document my daughter sent from Sydney, provided by the United Services Union. I leave, they talk about Nikki has been busy at work the last few days and feels like she needs a break. Rather than booking an annual leave day, Nikki lets her boss know that afternoon that she's taking a 9 leave day off tomorrow. Nikki boss asks Nikki what she plans to do. She tells him he might head down to the beach and read a book. No stress, no guilt, nothing to hide. I find that might make it a little bit interesting trying to run a business.
Yes, I'm hoping there's quite a few regulations around them.
And they also talk about, and this document also just only talks about my leave and the expected extra cost of $75,000. But then in the same document, I read about parental leave. Charlie has worked at council for 5 years and is about to have his first child with his partner. Yeah. His workmate had a kid 2 years ago under the old award and only got 2 weeks paid leave out of his sick leave because he wasn't the primary carer. Under the new award, we have gotten rid of primary and secondary carers, and Charlie now gets 14 weeks fully paid leave to be with his new family. So all of a sudden, but all these people having children to get 14 weeks off on full pay. I mean, I think that the $75,000 possibly isn't enough to. But I think we as council should be aware that our parental leave costs might escalate quite significantly.
It's been
Yeah, through you, Mr. Mayor, the, obviously the My Leave provision, is a different version of the existing sick leave provision. However, this transitional arrangement is a new expense.
Yeah.
So, going forwards, the 15 days of sick leave is already budgeted. It's just this transitional up to 5 days over the transitional period that's unbudgeted. But the maternity leave or parental leave, the parental leave is certainly, there's some cost.
Cost. I think.
It is a benefit of an ageing workforce, not to be used as often, but there's also the downside that eventually you won't have an ageing workforce. They're always start late.
That's also that's so through this there. My leave wasn't proposed by the union, so I'll just put that on record. It was actually proposed by LG South Wales. So that wasn't sort of finalised until mid-June. The report does state that the final award wasn't released until the 2nd of July or thereabouts. So it has come as a bit of a shock. The other aspect, of the workforce. But one thing we need to remember is that within the old award, there were elements within the old award where there was parental leave, whether under the state award itself or you could nominate to operate under the federal award. So what we're sort of probably seeing with the state award now is that state award is moving towards elements of fair work awards issued. So we'll continue to see movement. In another 3 years, we'll see some more movement, I predict, going to more fair work standards.
I also was asking around about how many people come across this. And I've got a nephew that works at Barker College at Sydney as a teacher, and his next baby's due in November, and he gets the 14 weeks off, much to his surprise.
made for a lot of schools being a little unhappy too.
Oh,
They've got to find a replacement teacher. So, Councillor Aston.
Through you, Mr. Mayor, and I understand that it's a budget expense that we have foreshadowed. However, moving forward in terms of workforce, no different to any other company or business out in the world, they need to incentivise to keep staff. And if certain elements such as 15 days or the parental payments, you can maintain a workforce and entice people to actually work for your organisation. So I get it's an on cost, but at the end of the day, it's something that the workers are entitled to, and we need to budget in that accordingly. So really, it's a fait accompli. But thank you for putting it forward to us.
Right, there's no further comments and questions, councillors, put the motion. All those in favour? Against? for expenses and professional development report. One recommendation, hey, please. Someone prepared to move it. Thank you, councillor Halliburton. Councillor Matthew Olsen. Any questions or comments? No. Motion of those in favour. Any against? Okay. Thirdly, council investments and bank balances, one recommendation there. And move that way, please. Thank you, councillor Bridget Austin. And councillor Riding, I know you moved in. Thank you. Thank you. Any questions or comments, please?
Just a query through you, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you, councillor Raffles.
Knowing that one of our investments is through the Judo Bank, is there any concern around the Judo Bank? There's been media information around the Judo Bank and losses with certain loans, etc. It's changed their position in terms of being an A2.
Independent assessed, obviously, agencies, nothing's come up in radar about Judo Bank. And the our advisors, Kirk Securities, they haven't mentioned either. Judo Bank, so I'll take it on notice and we'll be sort of keeping something to go the other way.
No further questions, councillors? If not, I'll put the motion. All those in favour? Anyone against? Just correspondence, two items. Items that really actually is that was what I just did.
That's the one we just did.
So we get a cup of coffee up. Yes. Two items of correspondence. First is further motion to our last general manager sending out others to formal summary, and we've received, as you'll see, quite a number of letters of support. From Mr. Nicholas, it's quite interesting. Yeah, I think
From council Town is very interesting.
yeah, as well done.
Oh, yeah, good. I can't believe.
It was a name the names. He now. Councillor Cove.
I'd just like to thank the general manager for sending me the submission, which I found very interesting read. The council letters that have been attached to the correspondence and what they haven't paid, will they get sent as an attachment or?
Yes. Yeah, through him, Mr. Mayor. Yeah, we will lodge all of those letters through to the planning board. The secondary submission. Thank you. And we have asked the in there what were fees would perhaps just to address the
just change a couple of words in You haven't you got access to edit on the page PDF?
So committee reports, I don't have any in front of me, I haven't been verbal. Oh, sorry, councillor, no.
Just due to illness, both myself and councillor Austin were unable to attend the bus sports committee meeting. But they were notified.
Delegates reports, have any in writing, any verbal? Notices of motions, late business. So Carly, you put in the questions on notice. You've got your answers to that one.
Thank you.
Thank you. And on to information booklet. Any questions or comments from the information booklet, please? Yes, councillor Halliburton.
On the last page, it said that, one of the requests for customer service request was for, excess vegetation unsightly. I've noticed in my driving around this town and the district that there are quite a number of, excess vegetation unsightly, and also quite a number of built environments that are unsightly. And I was wondering what we as a council can do to try and better the quality of our shire with regard to excess unsightly vegetation and also for unsightly built environments. Please.
I'll give that one to you.
Through you, Mr. Mayor, I'll start before handing over to Director Hunt. There are mechanisms certainly with vegetation and overgrown properties, and it is a process of serving notices and working through that. So it can be quite time consuming, and obviously there are many instances where that sort of things occurring due to illness, mental health, etc., which does further complicate. But certainly reviewing the situation and starting the process, hopefully involving relevant services to help the residents achieve a better presentation.
Through Smith, I'll agree with those comments. I think first and foremost, Project Willam tonight for a plan. In terms of staff, we can't be everywhere, and we do rely on that. So we do rely on other residents to raise amounts with us. So we do have the Merit platform, so people can call or either email into customer service desk and express their concerns about these areas. And we've got an obligation to investigate once that's in records.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thanks, councillor. All right. Yes, councillor Coe.
Sorry, Mr. Mayor, let's just, as far as the road safety officer, again, the last dog's point, he mentions observations of road safety in and around construction sites, new issues identified. This scenario has to do with the I to S section of John Holland for doing that job. And I've been working up with every highway with traffic stop and go signs, which this question the ideology of it anyway, that's the way that we're going to follow. And me inside the corridor actually on the other side of the rail line. But anyway, but what I'm getting at is that on the Ironbung Road, where the new level crossing is going, we have the safety barrier, the metal 2 metre high mesh fencing, which is constructed along the road there for a matter of 50 metres to stop people getting into their site, but there's no pre-warning signs, there's no speed restriction signs, so you can actually still do 100 k's to that area before these things see on the side of the road, which is right on the side edge, so you got nowhere to go if you're ducking it away. Or I just wonder, just figuratively his comment that issues identified. Well, I've been driving past this work site for the last month and it's been there and it's still there and a lot changing. So how do you accept that when it's being done elsewhere on the highway through traffic control and traffic lights, whereas on the back roads they seem to be getting away with things which don't seem quite right, safety wise.
Fortunately, I don't know how we direct the road safety officers. So in your hands,
Yeah, through you, Mr. Mayor. Sort of in a similar vein to the other queries raised about unsightly vegetation. If there is an issue that you feel is unsafe or that anybody spots, they do need to report it. Our road safety officer is based in another council. Sits in that council, so it's not going to be able to cover every portion of road relating to the inland rail construction site. So he's been to several, obviously, and has new issues identified, but he hasn't been to that one. So if you do have any concerns about safety, please do report them straight to council, and we will take them up and get you, we'll hopefully get some action taken and get you a response either way. So yeah, please do report any safety matter. Inland rail obviously take the safety very seriously as well, and their contractors. So if it's a concern that you've got, or that any of your neighbours or other residents have, please do report them to council. Yes.
In the draft report I sent you last night, this morning on page 17 is a photo of that same situation. So it would reference quickly that's in the report I sent you. And the future detour arrangements on Backgate Road and Ironbung Road when they close Guernsey Road for which they're putting in new piles over, which is that done before that. Was that to go before the traffic committee, or was it just a, it just goes and report to council and that's it?
I believe it will need to go to traffic committee. So that too.
Nothing further, we're moving to confidential. Matters within item 14 are considered to be confidential under section 10A2C of the Local Government Act 1993. And the council is satisfied that discussion of the matter in an open meeting would on balance be contrary to the public interest as it deals with information that would, if disclosed, confer a commercial advantage on a person with whom the council is conducting or proposes to conduct business. Remove it, please. Move it confidential. Thank you, Kat. So, Councillor Matthew Austin and Councillor Parsons. All those in favour?
Yes, in item 14, direct negotiation sale of lots 10 and 11 of DP 1252058. Council resolved that one, council offer for sale lot 10, DP 1252058 Junee to Mr. S.A. Harris of 11 Cassia Way, Junee, 2, the council offer for sale lot 11, DP 1252058 GE to Mr. RJ and Mr. JB Hall for 9, Cassia OGME. And 3, the general manager be delegated to prepare and execute necessary contracts of sale related to lots 10 and 11, DP 1252058 GE.
Thank you, Mr. General Manager, and that is the end of the meeting. We close the meeting at 5:53 p.m. Done pretty well. Well done. Thank you, councillors. Thank you for your.